history is for the future, but it's also for us to enjoy and recall fond memories of our childhood or school or something we did that triggers.
Welcome back to Live at the Hive. I'm your host, Janice Jokkel, and today I am so excited for you to meet our next community connector. He is an icon here in Medina County, and he's going to share some words of wisdom that I'm sure you're going to enjoy. So welcome to the show, Brian.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
So tell our viewers, what do you do?
Well, as president of the Medina County Historical Society, my role is quite a bit more administrative. Maintaining 2 house museums. We have the John Smart House as well as the McDowell Phillips House museums, which are both Victorian homes. And as you can imagine, old homes need work. So sometimes there's less glamorous sides of the job, but most of it is promoting history in our county. We have a fascinating story to tell, both cultural, economic, as well as political history. This was really a hotbed of politics from the Civil War on. And the McDowell family, whose namesake is the one museum home, was very active, not only through this before and after the Civil War, but leading up to many presidential campaigns, and really being very instrumental in world events as well as local events. So we're really proud to have such an extensive collection on the family. And we did have a recent book published by Gloria Brown and Joanne King describing the linkage between the Blake, McDowell, and Phillips families, because those 3 names are very important to the legacy of that house museum and the contents inside. But overall, we have a growing membership. We provide programs of history to our community. We also have fundraising events.
Oh, good.
We are a 501c3 nonprofit, so we're an all-volunteer organization as well. So we rely on our volunteer and members to support us through donations, memberships, fundraising events, things of that nature.
And you do events. So you said fundraising, but you do also events.
Yes.
So help us understand, what is your most favorite event ever?
Well, our trivia night is a very fun event.
Okay.
That's a chance to challenge people. Many people follow trivia in our county, so it's a very popular entertainment device. But when we throw a few historical questions in about the county, that usually gets the real serious ones figuring out what's going on or how do I answer that one. So we have some fun with that. We've had other events such as our yard sale, which is rather normal, but
from the Biz Hive, I see it from my office.
We get some great items in there, and people look forward to coming every year.
Okay.
Sometimes there's some real bargains. Sometimes there's some antiques. Sometimes people donate items that they don't want to go through the hassle of having their own yard sale. So they donate to us. And
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and we keep the profits to operate the museums. And so we do those things. Then we do some more community-focused events. We have an ice cream social in August, which kind of helps bring people in at a discounted tour rate, as well as free ice cream and goodies outside. We've invited the Antique Power Group and some antique cars. Last year we had the Cleveland Police Car Museum bring down units, which is a really cool museum. They brought about 8 or 9 vintage police cars down. Everybody got a kick out of those. So all throughout the year we try to keep history alive and appeal both to young as well as people my age now that start thinking about, geez, things we used in our youth are now in museums. It kind of makes you chuckle, but it is very true that history is for the future. And you really need to keep track and items and records of what you're doing today so future generations will appreciate perhaps the equipment or technology we dealt with and how we managed to still earn a living, raise children, have good education in our schools. We may not have had smart boards and laptops for everybody, but somehow we managed to learn the core curriculum.
So talk about education. Do you have field trips from the schools come through the home?
Yes, every year, generally the 3rd graders at our elementary schools come through for tours.
Oh, great.
That's always a fun day, a little bedlam, but their attention span's about 30 seconds, but
Yeah.
most of the kids really enjoy it, and then they generally, a good percentage of them will bring mom and dad back and say, hey, you got to come see this, because they go through the John Smart House, which has a large display of the Seville giants. And that's the one thing children usually remember most about the house is those giants.
I remember it when I took my kids through it. Yeah.
So people really appreciate that, and the fact that they're true stories in the house of things we describe and talk about. Whether it's a Native American collection, we have a fantastic arrowhead and primitive tool collection. We have all the old gazettes from many years ago, which are very interesting to read. We have tax books and research materials available for people to do property searches and things like that. We get many phone calls and emails throughout the month looking for help on the, I'm researching my property, I need help figuring this out, where it was. My grandpa had a farm somewhere back in the 1800s, can you help me determine? So we get a lot of trails that we have to follow, and now that we have the Virginia Wheeler group at the Medina Library and that whole office setup, they have been tremendous researchers. They have access to many more resources than we do even, and they have just been terrific to work with on genealogy as well as other historic artifacts.
So if somebody is passionate as I am about Medina County and we wanted to give back to your organization, how would we do that if we just didn't have the time to come to a fundraiser?
Well, we have an endowment fund, which we hope to keep growing to the point where at some point in the future we can have a curator back. We haven't had a curator in that professional role for some time, and we really need that. Maintaining a collection in 2 house museums is quite a bit of work. Our 2 fine curators are both in their early 80s, and they still actively volunteer, but there's a point in time we need to have a new curator role come in and help. So funds are always appreciated to go to the endowment fund. We also have a capital fund, which paid for the purchase and preservation of the McDowell Phillips House, as well as routine maintenance. You can't have old houses and not have some kind of maintenance problem every year, and we expect that. We are also working very hard to come up with a new interpretive center that would be built at the rear of the property, which would not only give us more display space, but place for small events, our meetings, our special displays, things like that. So we're kind of excited about.
In the back parking lot of the McDowell House?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. I'll have to remember that.
We recently used some of that capital money to purchase the corner lot at Medina and Blake Street.
Oh, yeah.
It was an empty lot that we now have plenty of parking available.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, I know exactly where that's at. Yeah.
So it needs a little sprucing up, but it's very usable right now.
And it's very close in walking distance.
Yes. And next year, the good news is the city is going to finally rebuild Blake Avenue, which is probably the street most in need of repair. I'll leave it at that. It really is in tough shape, and they know it. And the city engineering group has been very good at. They keep me posted on what's going to happen. It'll be a big project. It'll probably interrupt our plans a little bit next year, but we're not too concerned about it.
But the end goal is good.
Yes, the end goal will be what we've been needing for a long time.
Well, fantastic.
We're really addressing not just as a city entity. We are, of course, a city landmark. And we fall under the purview of the Historic Review Board, even though we're outside the historic district. But from a countywide perspective, Medina is the county seat. We're hoping to extend the western side of Medina to be a little bit more, a little upgrade. Some of the older homes on Washington Street and surrounding areas are getting new owners that kind of are putting some needed repairs in place, paint jobs and so on. And we kind of led the way with the McDowell House restoration.
Oh, good.
And I think that's an important contribution to the community. Last year, we received an entry to the Hall of Fame because as an economic driver, museums are a very important cultural part of our
100%.
community. All around the county. There's many great museums to visit. We have a great agricultural story to tell. We've worked with the Antique Power Association because those tractors and old equipment were the heartbeat of Medina County. We don't have extensive buildings from industrialists here in this county. We're an agricultural county. So it's important to remember our farming roots and things following World War II, which really blossomed with not only population expansion, but family farm expansion. And now, unfortunately, we're seeing a little contraction of that, where people are raising more different farms exotic animals, wineries, things like that.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, still important. Agriculture is still very important to our county.
100%.
And we enjoy touring the county. My wife and I take drives, just Sunday drives like we used to as kids, see what's going on. And every township is unique. They have their own claim to fame.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what story we tell. And as a county museum, we have things from Liverpool Township, Wadsworth, Spencer, Homer, Lafayette, and so
So a little
on.
piece from around the county.
Yes, we're 102 years old. We were founded in 1922. So we've had a long time to collect artifacts over those years and how it relates to the county history. And that's the story we tell
Right.
on our tours.
Good. So as we wrap up, we always end our time together is words of wisdom. You shared a ton of words of wisdom, and I think the one thing I loved that you said was history is for the future. Is we have such a rich county of, not financial, but just the richness of the bonding of the community that we have, and we all lean on each other, and more importantly, the preservation of what you're doing. As I shared with you before in our prior conversation, Nate from the park system is doing a wonderful job of preserving the land in our community so that we don't become the northern part of Cuyahoga County. I think that, with what you're doing and what he's doing, the community will stay as robust as it is, but as preserved as it is. So as we end our time together, words of wisdom, what would you like to share with our team?
Come visit us. Last week we had the Fall Foliage Tour.
Yeah.
The John Smart House
yeah.
was a stop. We had 477 visitors, which is an all-time record for
That's
us to have
exciting.
visitors through that house on a Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
And many of the visitors from Brunswick, Parma, Dayton, points west, points east.
Wow.
And people, I said, you came all the way out here to tour the county? Oh, yes. We love touring because they get to see farms. They get to see...
We did that tour.
When you live in
Yeah.
Parma or Cuyahoga County, you don't necessarily have a lot of acreage next door to you.
Right.
So they're kind of fixated on the fact that you can have farms of small acreage or large acreage.
Yeah.
But anyway, people came to visit and they really enjoyed touring the museum and seeing the collection. And they all thanked us for keeping these things fresh in our memory. So I think, yes, history is for the future, but it's also for us to enjoy and recall fond memories of our childhood or school or something we did that triggers. And believe me, when you walk to our museums, we see a lot of triggers going on. People's eyes light up. A rotary dial phone. I remember those. Yeah. And so things
Well,
like
a memory that I can vividly say is my daughter attended a tea party in your yard of the John Smart. She's now 22, so but you talk about memories and fond memories. Boom, that was exactly what just happened to me. Is I had a flashback of taking my daughter and she had a hat and she got to have tea and oh my gosh, it was the most magical. It was really magical because she got to be in a Victorian home and it was awesome. So.
And two of our trustees were very involved in teas, and they're both former educators. So they took that as a chance to educate young ladies on proper social etiquette.
Yes.
How to write thank you notes.
Yeah.
Things that maybe get overlooked at school or home.
Yeah.
And you're right, we see many returning visitors every year that come back and say, wow, I remember that.
Yeah.
And so we try to do things, and even one of our last fundraisers, I'll put a pitch in, is our Victorian Feast, which is a raffle we sell tickets for every year, right up to the end of the year, and we have the event in February. And it's a dinner for two winners, 2 tables of 4, served in the John Smart House. Very Victorian setting, very elegant dinner. People love the dinner that have won it over the years, and so it's a chance to kind of live history a little bit different from what we do today.
Oh,
we don't you don't sit in front of a TV and eat your dinner over there. You sit at a very nicely dressed table and elegant serving and handsome waiters such as myself actually serve the food and among others. So we do have a lot of fun with that event. I guess if you asked me earlier, that is one of the events I look forward to the most.
Good. Well, thank you for choosing to watch our show. We really appreciate you, the viewer. And you can follow us at community330.com. I'm pleased to know that the Historical Society will be now a contributor to our Community 330 magazine in 2025. And you can see them in our holiday issue coming up. So until next time, thank you for being a viewer and supporting Armstrong and Live at the Hive. Toodles.
Armstrong is proud to support the community and local businesses. As an Armstrong Business Solutions customer, the team at the BizHive supports their community through Armstrong's high-speed internet connection and reliable service. Watch Armstrong Neighborhood Channel on Channel 100 or visit Armstrong Neighborhood Channel on YouTube.